Right, let's go. Giles, what's your story? What are you pitching as the most important story of the week?
Okay, or at least of the century. At about Texas Toast time this morning, 8:30 this morning, Texas time, the biggest rocket ever built blasted off from Boca Chica, which is a homemade cosmodrome built entirely by one company, SpaceX, about 120 meters tall. Let me get to the right page in my notes. There we go. With twice the thrust of the Saturn V rocket. Saturn V rocket, as you will all know, Rosie, you know this.
I know this.
Took Neil to the moon.
No.
Yeah. The Saturn V had 5 mighty F1 rocket engines. This had 33 Raptor engines, which I was telling people earlier today were the most powerful rocket engines ever built. I'm wrong about that. Each Raptor has about a third the thrust of one F1, but do the math. Twice the thrust of a Saturn V, maximum payload about 150 tons to the moon. It lasted about 4 minutes and 6 seconds, and then spectacularly started spinning. It was supposed to send the launch vehicle, the sort of slightly, very phallic Starship.
I was already finding the whole thing pretty arousing, so it's good to know that.
Starship space vehicle all the way around the Earth, which it was to plunge into the Pacific off Hawaii. That didn't work. The whole thing stuck together and sort of spun towards the Gulf of Mexico and exploded shortly before crashing into it. So to that extent, it was a failure. But
Hold on, Charles.
But no more than the fact that Fox Dominion settled. So
No, okay, hold on. I genuinely, so that's all amazing. Where were they going? What were they doing?
okay, this was a test flight. There was no one on board. It went much further.
So it's a massive firework, basically.
Yes, I really need to be absolutely clear that this was a technological triumph. They lowered expectations, but even making allowances for that, this massive package,
It's
right?
going really well, Charles. Keep going.
This massive package had never taken off before. You have to, and not only did it take off,
yeah.
it flew for 4 minutes and 6 seconds. It passed what you know is called max Q, the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure on the launch vehicle. They have a record of picking up the pieces, starting again. There's absolutely no question that they will make this work. They have with all their other rockets.
But just for what?
To go to the moon. Now, this is the key point. I've been told that this section has to last no more than 2 minutes, so bear with me. SpaceX have completely revolutionized space travel already by making launch vehicles reusable. Both the Starship bit at the top and the booster at the bottom are designed to be reusable. They're made out of stainless steel, which is cheap. They're incredibly strong. They will be reusable. Why do I say that? Because the record with the smaller rocket, the Falcon Heavy, they've made it work. You will have seen on YouTube 3 of them landing together, and they can do it on barges in the ocean.
These are the rockets that return to Earth, yes.
Yeah. And the real vote of confidence in this whole package is NASA's. NASA has built a giant rocket, derivative, based on Saturn V, called Artemis II, with which they hope to take people back to the moon. Will they actually get people to the moon with that technology? No. They depend on this very thing that took off today to meet the astronauts in high lunar orbit, 240,000 miles from Earth, and they will transfer into the phallus-shaped spaceship.
Elon Musk, this is Elon Musk.
Yes, it will be there to meet them. NASA is counting on it.
This is the bus home.
No, this is the bus to take them to the moon.
Okay.
Nothing in the whole Artemis rocket package can actually get the astronauts to the moon. They are relying on what took off today to be there, going round the moon.
So this is like when you go to Bicester Village to go shopping. You get
It's the bus.
You the bus to Bicester.
You get
and
a
then
train to Bicester, and then it's the bus that gets you actually to the shopping centre. Close.
No, hang on. Actually, so sorry. I do just want to understand seriously. What you're saying is that this was a test of a technology which would enable us, a reusable technology, that would enable us to provide essentially a commuting service from Earth to the lunar orbit, from which NASA will then be able to take you to the surface of the Earth.
No, other way round. Other way round. All NASA can do
is take you to the lunar orbit.
Correct.
And then this will go from the moon to Artemis and back again.
from lunar orbit. It'll go from Earth to lunar orbit.
Yes.
It'll wait there. The astronauts will climb from a small space capsule into this very large one, bizarrely, and it will use that very large one to go down to the surface of the moon and to come back to Earth orbit, get back into the NASA cheap bus, and come back like that. It's an absolute mess.
But hold on, George, just so I understand. When does that happen? When do people start
From
commuting?
2025, if all being well for NASA, but it won't be.
And what's the significance of this by comparison with each of the other stages in which we've heard that Elon Musk's SpaceX is going to essentially take a bigger
Thank you for
part?
asking. There is tremendous
here to help, yeah.
tremendous significance. This was built for something altogether more ambitious. This was built to go to Mars.
To Mars.
He's completely serious about that. Say what you like about Elon Musk. He's invented electric cars. He's reinvented motoring. He's reinvented space travel. He's completely serious about going to Mars. This is the only rocket ever built that is remotely capable of doing that. Today's crash notwithstanding.
So when does it begin to try going to Mars?
His timetable for that. There is always a lot of sort of exaggeration there, but I mean, 2030 type thing. And
It's hard.
If
But George,
we-
just pause a second. Hold on. It is quite hard to see, in all seriousness, although it's incredible, and listening to you is incredible, it's hard to see how that's a story that leads the news.
unbelievably, you were editor of the Times and director.
I know I've lost it. I'm sorry. Yeah. No, but seriously, how does it lead the news? This is a test of a vehicle in the process of production.
The first test of the vehicle that is most likely to make Homo sapiens what Musk describes as a multiplanetary species. If and when that happens, and this is the most likely technology to make that happen, it will surpass 1969 and the moon landings. It will be on a par with finding out whether or not we're alone in the universe. And today was the day it first flew for 4 minutes.
And I do think that on the day that we actually, like 69, we'd probably go, oh, that's a story. Maybe we'll put that in the news. But the day that they tested, or did a test on the Saturn V, did they start thinking, okay, well,
Yeah,
on
that led
testing
the
day,
news.
did it lead the news?
Yeah, I'm gonna assert that it did. Neither of us was alive then.
Rosie, help. What do you think?
I'm very confused. I thought I liked it.
Did you see it? Did you see it?
No, I liked your story.
All right, do watch it. It's right there.
I will. I just don't understand anything, I'm afraid.
No, but actually, hold on a second, Rosie. There's an
Yes.
important thing there, which is that is part of what the job of the news is to tell many people what few people know. And
Yeah.
what Giles is saying in that sense is actually, that should lead the news because this is really significant. It looks as though we're in danger of getting blinded by science and technical detail, but this is a massively significant step today that you might easily misunderstand as just a kind of egomaniac, trillionaires, crash-tested
Yeah,
rocket.
I think also, the problem with Elon Musk, because as you're right, Elon Musk has done some very impressive things, but certainly for me, he's synonymous with ruining Twitter. Which is...
You've done some work there. But Rosie, what do you think about people who say, actually, that's exactly the problem with the media? We spend all of our time talking about Elon Musk and Twitter.
Yeah.
And actually, the much more significant thing is either Tesla and the remaking of the electric vehicle market or potentially space.
Yeah.
And is there an argument for that too?
No, definitely. I was more, it was less a criticism of the story and more a criticism of myself. I do think it's important. I just wish I understood it better, but the figures and facts make me panic.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. There are lots of reasons why you should, I think. Not least that every space launch is environmentally catastrophic, but... I can't help but admire the man's ambition, and everyone's got that sort of ambition, but he has this weird habit of following through.
Make it. Liz, what do you think of the story?
Nah.
Really? Is it that just because there's just too many rockets and gizmos?
The double thrusting was... I think so. If you can't lead the news every time Elon Musk says he's got a really brilliant idea, that you can't do that, and it did blow up. And so on any measure, however, it's definitely not a leading news story. It just isn't. It's not like the nuclear fusion thing. So we can get excited about amazing, brilliant scientific breakthroughs, and I accept your excitement that this is one of, in that bucket of type of thing, but the job of the news, I think, is not to do massive rocket double thrust. It's about saying if human beings are going to be an interplanetary species, and we have to be that because we've knackered our own planet, these are the steps that are required. These are the things that NASA's made this shit rocket can't get all the way, they've got to build a bus. You know, that's something that's worth understanding, but it's not a front page news story.
All right, well, let's come back. I'm going to have a go when we get to the end of making a call. I'm not going to ask you, Liz, whether you think I should lead the news. I've got a sort of vague sense of where you are on that. Rosie, would you ever lead the news on this story?
Oh, no. I liked the sexy framing of it, though.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching that clip. If you'd like to see the full interview, just click here. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you'd like to join us live in the newsroom, head to tortoisemedia.com/book.